not that much to my introduction, but I will comment on a couple of things. We will be actually building this topic off the previous question, like the very last question. Why Gen AI sometimes doesn't scale? And I can agree, it's about selecting the right use case, but oftentimes it's not just about use case and building a nice prototype and seeing the promise and value of that use case. It's about scaling it to enterprise level. Actually building an enterprise solution out of it, which will be used across the whole organization. Now, let's be honest. A lot of companies already made massive investments into this topic. They invested into technologies, into people, into processes, into software licenses, sometimes even like billions of dollars. But not much benefit and value came out of it. What needs to change? What you need to pay attention to? I will not give you the answer on all questions, but there is one area which we, in our firm, in our team, are being asked quite frequently when clients are trying to build an enterprise level use case. Which LLM to choose for that specific use case? Now I have one question for everyone in the room. Have you heard this question from your colleagues? Which LLM I should pick up? Raise your hands if you heard. Quite a lot of people. If you didn't hear it yet, trust me, you will hear it fairly soon. Someone will come to you and say, I have this amazing use case in mind. Which LLM should I pick up? Just pick up OpenAI, just pick up Llama, pick up something else, name the LLM. Now, our firm was getting asked this question as well by our clients. Our team was trying to answer this question quite a lot of times. And that's why we decided to do just a research and build our own leaderboard of LLMs just to help us answer these questions. Which LLM to pick for each use case. Now, why we should even bother with that? Why you need to evaluate LLMs? Why you need a leaderboard? Well, very simple. Frankly speaking, in past I heard the comment from one of my colleagues who was saying, I picked up this model, will not say the name. I had terrible experience, it didn't really work on my use case. And I had completely opposite experience. LLM was amazing. It performed really well. The point is that LLMs are fit for different use cases. You cannot use the same LLM, same model in each and every use case and each and every domain. Sometimes it will fly, sometimes it will just fail. Then you obviously need to ensure that whichever LLM you pick up, it will match your infrastructure. It will match your computational infrastructure. It will integrate smoothly with all other IT systems which you are using. For example, just a simple example, if you are hardcore Azure shop and everything is in cloud for you, etc., maybe it will be strange to pick up the model which is not available in Azure, right? So poor decision in such case. So you want to ensure that you select the model which will fit into your IT infrastructure. And finally, these use cases and these Gen AI solutions are difficult to build. It's expensive to build them, for crying out loud. You want to ensure that whichever LLM you embed inside of it, it will stick. You will not need to redo it later on, reinvest in the same billions of dollars to just switch one LLM for another. You want to make an informed decision at the onset. And you want to ensure that the LLMs can evolve with your business. How did we approach this task? How we evaluated LLMs? And how even you can use it? Let's start with simple task. Well, if you are a client, if you are a company, and you are trying to make a decision which LLM to use for your specific use case which you have in mind, use the leaderboard. We created one. You can create your own leaderboard if you want, using the same approach as us. Use it, compare LLMs based on your specific business situation, based on your specific situation in company, which tech stack you are using, which infrastructure you have, and which use case you are trying to solve for. Then, obviously, focus, and I keep re-highlighting it, focus on business needs. What is the actual business value you are trying to extract from this use case? Are you trying to automate something and make it very, very cheap to run? Are you trying to make something super fast? Are you trying to tackle an extremely complex problem which even your employees cannot do, even human intelligence cannot solve for? Keep all of these business aspects in mind. And obviously from that, make an informed decision. Decide which LLM will probably fit best for your specific use case, and then ultimately do a very quick POC to test it out and confirm your findings. When we were building our leaderboard, we realized that I'm not trying to look down on the past work in evaluating LLMs. Those are amazing. There are a lot a lot of different leaderboards. They were built by different institutions, by Berkeley, by Hugging Face, by a lot of different organizations. The names are on the screen and there are many more. Those are good leaderboards. They do a good job in evaluating the performance of LLMs, but they miss business integration. They are not considering how easy it is to put LLM into your actual infrastructure, into your actual IT ecosystem. They are missing the business world impact, right? How well the LLM will perform, not just on some synthetic language-related tasks, but on a real business problem. How well it will cover your domain. And obviously, sometimes it ignores a bit of the long-term viability. What I mean by long-term viability is that if you build with this LLM a solution today, will it actually stay relevant for the next half a year, 1 year, etc. So with that in mind, we decided to come up with our own leaderboard. The points I already highlighted, basically on the previous slide. You can all read there. But once again, existing leaderboards are mostly covered on synthetic metrics. How well the LLM is performing on some text summarization task or text translation or text generation tasks, etc. But they're not concentrated on business. They're not concentrated on integration into your IT ecosystem. That's why we decided to come up with a slightly different approach. How we did it? At high level, the leaderboard which we developed has two big areas which we are evaluating. Enterprise readiness, how easy it is to actually build an enterprise-level solution with the LLM. Back to the last question of for the previous speaker. Why it doesn't scale? It doesn't scale because maybe LLM is good, maybe you build an amazing proof of concept, maybe you build a cool MVP, but it's not ready for enterprise. It's very difficult to integrate with your IT ecosystem. It's extremely expensive to run it, or it's extremely slow, maybe for your specific use case. So that's the first dimension which we are keeping in mind. The second one is actual performance, how well the LLM performs, how well it performs on, of course, synthetic language metrics. We still look at them, but also on the actual business problems, how well it answers the business-specific questions and performs in the business-specific tasks. Sub-dimensions are covered on this slide. Again, that's the sub-dimensions we came up with. Potentially, we will be expanding the list in the future for enterprise readiness. What is the total functionality of the whole LLM? Is it easy to integrate it with RAG or React pipelines, with agents? Is it easy to integrate it with cloud infrastructures? What is the diversity of training data set on which that specific LLM was trained? Maybe the LLM had a very limited representation of the data, just small set of the languages, or maybe it's one specific domain. We obviously want to have a larger representation. How easy it is to use the model? The model may be amazing, but if you can access it only as a bare TensorFlow dump of the weights, and you need to jump through the hoops to even spin it up and connect to it, it will be extremely painful for you to build any kind of applications. How well it is integrated for the common development frameworks and infrastructures. How good the license is. Maybe it's completely open source and you can just use it for free. Maybe the license is good and you can reuse it, or you can retrain the models. Or maybe at least there is not a big of the cost involved. So the last dimension here, how expensive it is to even use this model. How much money I need to pay to run it. How complicated it is. And obviously one more dimension which is very important is how easy it is to access this model. Is it available on Azure, AWS, any other cloud infrastructures? Is it available just as a free download from Hugging Face? What are the ways of accessing it? How difficult it is for me to even get access to it? And obviously, final one, how quick the model is. You may have an amazing model and maybe it will perform extremely well in all kinds of use cases, but if you send the request and you need to wait for 10 minutes to get the response, for some use cases it will work, because maybe you are willing to wait 10 minutes to get the amazing answer. But in some cases, no. You need an instant answer. So complexity, speed is also important. That's on enterprise readiness side. On business performance side, looks a bit bare, but we grouped some of them together. First one is business performance. We curated a set of questions with the correct answers for specific business problems. That comes from real examples for real problems which we solved for the real clients. An example, generate for me a procurement strategy for certain category. Or can you please tell me what was the price trends in the certain market for the certain goods? That's the kind of questions which real LLMs will be answering in real applications, reg applications, agent-based applications. We curated all of these questions. We curated the correct answers for them. We started to evaluate the performance against these business problems. And obviously, we also introduced the traditional NLP performance in the business performance side. On the previous slide, I mentioned there are a lot of synthetic leaderboards which evaluate LLMs on the basic foundational LLM-related tasks like text summarization. We still want to introduce it as well. We still want to take it into account across all leaderboards, take the average performance there, just to keep it in mind. That gives us a little bit of the future proofing of LLM which we will pick. With that in mind, big drum roll. That's the results of the first evaluation which we have done. My request, don't react specifically to the numbers because we evaluated it with our approach in mind. All sub-dimensions from the previous slide were weighted equally. We just said on average, if every sub-dimension is equal, I don't care about cost more than about performance or something like it. If I just take average of evaluation across all dimensions, that will be the leaderboard. Now, if I dive deeper, and that's why I was saying don't react to the previous slide, you can see that across all LLMs which we evaluated, across all sub-dimensions which I highlighted, there are synthetic scores. And you can see that pretty much every model at some point in time on some dimension is actually better than others. So when you will be deciding which LLM to use for your use case, ask yourself what you care about. Maybe you are not trying to solve an extremely complex use case. There are very basic questions which LLM will be answering, and the inputs will be basic. And what matters for you is the speed and cost. You don't want to pay tons of money every year for using the LLM. So just pick something what will perform okay-ish, but weight the cost and the speed a little bit more. Or maybe it's opposite. You don't care if LLM takes half an hour to generate the answer for you. You really don't care. Fine, let it generate it in half an hour. But you really need an extreme performance. It needs to be extremely powerful, extremely large model, which performs extremely well on business problems and NLP tasks as well. Then in such case, you probably will care about the performance aspects a little bit more than everything else. So keep that things in mind. That's the first evaluation which we have done on the select set of the models. However, you can use the same approach as us, same calculation, same KPIs, add one more model if you want, check how it fares against everything else. Now, you can use our leaderboard already. It's published on our website, and we, by the way, maintain it live. So you can use it for tailoring the selection of LLM for your specific use case, for your specific business, for your specific enterprise IT architecture, for your specific technologies. Obviously, our leaderboard is very dynamic and flexible. We keep maintaining it. We keep refreshing it. Once in a while, we add new models. We reevaluate the old models as well. We add new dimensions. And obviously, we are focused on practical applications. On a serious note, we are trying to build use cases using existing LLMs for the actual business problems, for the clients to ensure Gen AI scales and gives you the actual benefits. Let's bring it to action. Let's imagine that you are a mid-sized firm, you have a customer service app, some kind of a smartphone application for serving customers. You're trying to automate it, remove completely the human operator from the loop, ensure that there is a chatbot which can handle the customer service requests. But once again, you're mid-sized. You're not a monstrosity with billions of dollars to burn. You want to take care of this use case. Obviously, for you, it's important to have some basic business performance, basic capabilities of the model in place, but you really care about cost and speed because you know there will be no very complex questions from your customers. The requests are very basic. So you need to choose the LLM, you open the leaderboard, you put more weightage mentally on cost, on speed, on accessibility, maybe on the license, because maybe you even want to use something open source. You don't have a lot of money. You pick up the 2-3 candidate models from the leaderboard. You do a quick test on the POC side, which one performs better. And basically, that's how you get your best-in-class LLM, hopefully making a more informed decision and posing you for a bigger success in the future. Because you picked up the LLM, which fits better into your specific business context. What we plan to do in the future, and that's a bit of our promise of our team to everyone in this conference. We obviously plan to keep refreshing our LLM. It's on our website. Once in a while we add updates, so we will keep doing it. Bringing in new models, bringing in new dimensions, refreshing the scores because models keep evolving. Obviously, we will be a little bit reshaping the business evaluation even further. Right now, our business performance score, the one which I highlighted there, is based on certain types of questions for certain sub-industries. We keep building the set of questions. We will start covering more and more industries, and obviously our business performance score will become decomposed a little bit into the sub-industries. That's what we are planning to do as well. And obviously, we also will try to do a more tailored enterprise focus, right? So we will try to do more sub-dimensions for specific sub-industries, as I said. Sometimes there are very specific requirements for integrations or requirements for IT infrastructure, so we will want to bring in a little bit of this industry-specific flavor into our leaderboard. In a sense, that's our promise for the future. That's what I wanted to say, but once again, I will take a step back one more time. The reason why Gen AI use cases sometimes don't scale, even though you invest tons of money into building the POCs, building MVPs, and bringing in the best people possible who are very smart. Sometimes the reason is very simple. You chose the approach, you chose the LLM, which is very good for POC, for MVP, but will not work in the enterprise scale. For that, you really need to select the right LLM. And for that, we are just suggesting our leaderboard, or you can just approach the same thinking, use the same thinking for making this kind of decisions. I will save you 2.5 minutes for questions. We'll take a pause here. Any questions from the room?